Welcome to Denver Startup Week. I'm Eric Matisik, President and CEO of Highwing and co-founder of Denver Startup Week. I could not be more excited about this year's event, as entrepreneurship has always been the heartbeat of our city. For the community, by the community, for the future of the community is why this event has existed. And now, more than ever, Startup Week, it's important to give back and to educate those entrepreneurs who are building the companies of our future. I could not be more excited about Startup Week to this community, as entrepreneurship has always been the heartbeat of our city. Join me in thanking our title sponsors. For the community, by the community, for the future of the community is why this event existed. And now, our track sponsors have made all the great content that we're hearing today to educate those entrepreneurs who are building the companies of our future. I could not be more excited about this year's event to this community, as thanks to entrepreneurship has join me in thanking our title sponsors. For the community, One Cafe, Palo Alto Lending, Quizlet, Exactly, Zayo, and Zestful. Our headline event sponsors are bringing the excitement this week. Thank you to Wix, Kinzon, MAPR Agency, Obsidian HR, Kickstart Fund, Promontory Mortgage, Molson Coors, and Comcast. Finally, thank you to our partner and member sponsors listed on the screen. Please look out for these companies as you enjoy our virtual Denver Startup Week, and don't forget to use hashtag DEN Startup Week to share your experience and moments of inspiration on social media all week long.
Hi, my name is Matt. I'm the CEO of Zestful, and we're an employee reward and engagement platform for companies and teams. We make it really easy for companies to create fun goals for their teams to complete and share with each other. Things like learning something new, getting outside, or even sharing an awkward selfie. For every goal you complete and share, you earn points. Or pancakes, or lemons, or unicorns. You get to pick whatever the currency is, which makes it a lot of fun. And these points, or pancakes, can be used to redeem prizes like company swag, cash on your Zestful card, or even towards team prizes like virtual happy hours or trivia nights. We created Zestful so that we could stay connected and build a fundamentally better culture no matter where we are. And we hope it can be just as fun and rewarding for your teams.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Denver Startup Week. My name's Olivia Omega, and I am your founder track chair and member of the Denver Startup Week organizing committee. Thank you again for joining us for our first ever virtual Denver Startup Week. At Denver Startup Week, we strive to make all of our sessions a space where attendees can connect, learn, and grow, regardless of age, gender identity, gender expression, race, ability, sexual orientation, or the combination of those identities. I want you to welcome you here. We have Sydney Smith is actually live with us. And I'm going to ask that you all engage, go ahead and engage in the chat. Go ahead and pop in there and just say, do you have a website? Are you thinking about building one? Have you built one and you have questions? And then as we go along with the session, go ahead and put your questions in the Q&A box, and then, or actually put them in the chat, and then Sydney will actually be able to answer those as we go along. So welcome, Sydney, and we'll go ahead and get started.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us at the 8th annual Denver Startup Week. So it is the largest entrepreneurial event of its kind, and we're so happy to have you tuning in. And be sure to share your experience on social using hashtag DenStartupWeek, and you can also interact with me over at Olive Wing Designs on Instagram. So thanks so much for taking the time to tune in today as we run through how to build a successful DIY website within Squarespace. So I'm so excited to give you my best tips for creating a site that works for you and your business. I know websites can seem daunting and overwhelming and something that stays on your to-do list for far too long. So I want to give you my best strategies today to make it more clear on how to build an effective site in Squarespace. So make sure you stick around until the end for a giveaway of my full Squarespace course. So this is an even deeper dive, obviously, than we can cover in 30 minutes that runs you from start to finish of how to brand and build assets for your site, implement them into Squarespace, build out all the pages you need, and launch it. And it follows me as I do it on the screen, which you'll see a little bit of today, but much deeper dive. So if that's something you're interested in, stick around until the end and I will select an attendee to win free access to that. So I know your time is valuable and I want to do a very quick intro just so you know who I am and why I'm credible to speak to this stuff. So I am a brand and web design expert. I own my own business called Olive Wing Designs, and I have built over 50 websites for clients. So these are custom websites that really put their goals at the forefront of the design so that we're building sites that convert for them. So I have built sites on Showit, on Squarespace, on WordPress, and Shopify, and have some experience with a couple of the other platforms, but I have seen them all and I recommend Squarespace, and we'll dive into this for why I recommend it when you're DIYing. But before we dive into the design pieces and Squarespace specifically, I really want to talk through what you need to know before you build your site. So there's a couple things that even before you start designing, you really need to square away so that it makes the whole process a lot easier. And we will dive right into what those are. So first thing, this is huge, the two biggest questions your site should answer. So it's, what do you offer? And how does it make my life better? So I see so many people who DIY their website or even have a designer that just doesn't put strategy at the forefront to design their site. And the issues that they have and the mistakes that I see most commonly are they don't address this. They'll just have a landing page that says something general like Denver chiropractor, but doesn't really talk to their clients' pain points. So what you really want your site to do is you only have 7 seconds to really capture people. So in that first landing, really have a value proposition that speaks to your consumer or ideal client's pain points. So address kind of how you're different and how you're unique to solve that problem. And you really want to make sure you're putting your customer at the forefront of your copywriting when you're thinking about this. So a lot of people use terms like, I graduated from here and do this now and have done this. And it's like, that's great. But if I'm coming to your site, I want to know how you can help me, not like a laundry list of things about you. So just keep that in mind that throughout your copy and when you're building your site, you really want to make your consumer or your ideal audience the hero in these statements. So they are the hero and you have a solution that you're providing to them that takes them from A to B. And so I also want to mention I'll be live doing Q&A during this. So if any of this doesn't make sense during this, ask a question and I will be in chat answering. So that's kind of like the general rule of what you want your future clients essentially to come to your site and say, wow, that is exactly what I'm struggling with. And they seem like the right person to help me solve it, instead of just a general realtor or whatever, like statement of what you do. So I also have a resource on my site that is a homepage content workbook that helps you work through this. So if you go to olivewingdesigns.com and click on the top banner, there's a free download that runs you through the exact copy you need and how to think through it and outline it, since obviously can't cover all of that today, but just a little bit of a high level of what you need to make sure your site is addressing. Okay, so next big thing that you need to figure out before you start designing your site is brand consistency. So you want people to feel like it all comes together nicely. You need to pay attention to the details with the fonts, the colors, the imagery, and make sure it's all consistent. If this seems very overwhelming to you, don't worry. The biggest thing to always come back to is a feeling. So you want to make sure that your audience is feeling the same thing consistently whenever they interact with your business. That is what branding is. It is not a logo and fonts and colors. It is how you make people feel and the emotions you evoke from them. So we really want to make sure that you stay consistent with your branding, so you don't have, like, for example, the feelings you want to evoke or the emotions you want to evoke are ones of like warmth and comfort. Make sure you pick fonts that make you feel that way or make others feel that way if you do some market research. And pick fonts in line with those feelings, and then also pick colors in line with those feelings. So probably more like muted or pastel if that's what you're going for, of like the warm, welcoming feeling, not like a bright red. So I know this can be harder if, like, obviously you're designing your site yourself, but you're probably not a brand expert. But the way to get through that is just to think through things like always coming back to the emotion. So always coming back to the way you want to make people feel. And so another big foul that I just want to cover is make sure that when you're designing your site, everything is legible. So another thing I see a lot that really hurts you in your website design is having like a dark banner with dark text on it, or a light banner with white text on it. Obviously, the whole reason people are on your site is to gain information, and so we want to make sure they can read it. So make sure that you have a lot of contrast in your text and your backgrounds so that it's all legible. And also, I know some people really like using handwritten fonts. I use them occasionally too, but one thing to make sure is that your handwritten fonts are used kind of sparingly. So if you have a handwritten font that you want to include in your branding, that's awesome, but kind of use it more for, accent pieces, or like, hey there, or like, fun little, like maybe three word lines throughout your site, but don't really use it as like the body paragraph font or things like that. Because again, you always want to make sure that it is legible so that everyone can read your content, and that you don't have this beautiful picture of flowers that are super bright with white text on top and people can't even read what you're talking about. So now that we've gone through kind of like the high level of what you need to make sure to have kind of lined up before you start, we can dive a little bit deeper into the platform overview next. But the last thing I wanted to say about this really quick is, so 75% of users admit to making judgments about a company's credibility based on their website design. So we really want to make sure that from the get-go, all these things are kind of buttoned up. So with that said, we can dive into why Squarespace. So for those of you who are new to website space, I'll just quickly do an overview of why I choose Squarespace for DIY. All of these pros are great about Squarespace. It's easy to customize, it's secure, there's no coding needed, it's mobile friendly, and it's easy to have these integrations, and then it's also easy to manage once you're done. So the reason that this is great versus like WordPress or Showit or these other platforms I use, so WordPress is an amazing, really powerful site that compromises over like 32% of sites on the web. But if you don't have coding knowledge, or if you aren't going to hire a developer to stay up with it, it's really overwhelming. And I've had a lot of clients come to me looking to switch because they can't manage their own site. So Squarespace is amazing because it's intuitive, it doesn't require coding, and you can run and manage your own site after it's launched. And so that's great. And then a platform that I use for really custom sites is Showit, but I don't recommend it to people who are just starting out because it has a more complicated design process and backend, whereas Squarespace has a template-based, and Squarespace it's mobile friendly, and as you're building the desktop, it builds the mobile for you, which is awesome because it's done for you. Showit, you had to build them separately, so that's kind of an advantage if you're doing custom designs and want to make it really unique, but also a drawback if you're just trying to create a simple website for your business to get it out there and online. Okay, so now diving into Squarespace themes. So the one that I think pretty much all designers will tell you to use is Brine family templates. So this family of templates has dozens of options for you. It's really easy to customize with things called index pages. And there's lots of sites to choose from within this family with demo pages that are seamless to edit. So some of my favorites are MOKSHA, Rally, and Mentor. Those are, you can literally type into Google, MOKSHA Squarespace template, and it will bring it up and you can start. So we can actually dive right into that now. Let me transition, stop sharing, and then I will we will dive into kind of the side of things now, where I will show you how to create it on the back end. Okay, so if you type it in to Squarespace, MOKSHA, or type into Google, MOKSHA Squarespace, and then this will come up. And this is the one I will show you how to quickly customize. So you just go create a site like this. Takes a minute to think about it. So I'm already logged in because I have an account, but if not, it's really simple to make an account in Squarespace, and it will just run you through those prompts. Okay, so welcome to your new Squarespace site. Awesome. So I will run you through the high level here of kind of how to edit content and things like that, and where you should start. Okay, so I always like to explain it like the pages here are like what you put in a home, and the design here is the architecture. So what you change in the design space is going to change everything within the site, but what you change like content-wise here is only going to affect the page you're on. So where you want to start is obviously that framework. So this is all of their demo content, and you can easily delete this stuff if you don't want to use it, but if you do want to use it, super helpful for just like an intuitive, easy layout that's already done for you. So let's go into design, and just a quick overview of this whole interface. So logo and title, this is where you can upload a logo if you have one. And then also you want to make sure you have your site title in here. But let's say you don't have a logo, they'll provide this emblem here for you. So let's say Juniper Grove is your name. So you can just type it there. And then also one thing to call out is to add a favicon, which is this little icon here. So if you don't have a logo made, you can make a little icon in Canva that would just have like the J and the G, because it's so tiny, you need to keep it pretty concise there. But, so that's this, and then let's say it's like therapy for all. Bad at typing today. And obviously you'd want a better tagline, but just coming up on the top of my head, if you are a therapy provider. So then click save, and then we go into design. So template, that's the template we chose, which is the MOKSHA, and then site styles. So within here, it's again, you're structuring everything for the site. So we want to, you can go in and edit all of these components. So one way to do it is to either scroll down and click on the content that you want to edit through these things, or an easier way is to just click on heading 1. So Squarespace gives you a lot of font options, and you can go in and pick your font that you want. So let's say I want to change this to Old Standard TT. You see it changes there. And so how I usually think about it is heading 1 is one font, heading 2 is a different font, heading 3 is the same as heading 1, and then body paragraph is the same as heading 2. So you get heading 1, 2, 3, and then paragraph. So kind of alternate which fonts you use between the two, so there's some contrast in the design, but make sure you aren't choosing like 4 fonts for all of those. Choose 2 and then go from there. So let's say we do Old Standard TT, and then this allows you to adjust the weight of it, adjust like italic or normal, things like this, the size. And remember that when you're changing the size here, it affects the size of all heading 1 across the entire site. So if you change things in here, make sure to look at how it's impacting other things. So that's how you choose that. And then things like the buttons, you can go in and say you chose a color palette of like 5 different colors. You can go and type in a hex code here, or if you move it around, let's say we want to change it to that color. And so that changes it when it's not on a banner, but this one will change it when it's on the alternate, which this is an alternate because there's a banner behind it. So if you have a color, one way that it's easy to just copy and paste it over as you go through and change things. So you see that's how you can control those things. So I'm not going to dive too much deeper because this goes pretty heavy into how like all the shifts you can make, and I run through all this more deeply in my course, and obviously with 30 minutes don't have too much time, but want to show you guys like the general changes you can make through the design. Again, this is your architecture that you're changing for the entire site, and then if you want to add content, that's within the pages. So you can change stuff here. You can change heading 2, you can change heading 3, and again, change the colors to whatever. If we want to use this color throughout, copy it, and then paste it. And it changes there. So again, you're kind of controlling the major pieces within site styles, and then everything else within the pages. So another thing to go through really quickly here, you can change the color of this. Always, again, come back to keeping it consistent though in your brand and how it makes people feel. So I like the way I wouldn't go with anything too crazy as this top banner because it's going to be on every single page. So you want it to, you know, mesh well with what other banners you choose or things like that. But here you can change like where things are located and change this around to these different sides. You can change the element spacing. There's a lot of different modifications you can make in here with spacing and things like that, but just keep in mind, whatever you change in site styles is impacting the whole site. So just a quick overview there on like the basics for the site styles, and you can change things like the content inset and the spacing, enable parallax, so that's see how the image doesn't kind of move with the screen, or it does move with the screen. So a lot of different options within site styles, but that's, again, where you change all of the main components of your site. So fonts, colors, things like that. And then if we want to go back, one thing to note that can be annoying, if you're trying to edit something within the page and you're in site styles, it won't let you edit like the banner or things like that. It only lets you edit the site styles. So make sure if you're trying to edit content that you go back over to pages. And so in here, I will show you how to then like implement changes. So you click edit, and then this is where you can edit text, anything like your normal, like any other like Word doc, things like that. You just type in things. And so you can't change the size of the text, the size of the headers, that's within site styles, but you can do little things like bold it, italicize it, things like that within the actual page content. And so the biggest thing to know when you're designing content is these little teardrops are how you add anything to your site. So it gives you all of these options. You'll probably mostly just use button, text, image, and spacers. So spacers are these little bars here, and they are kind of how you control where things go on your site. So you can see there's 2 here to keep this centered, but I can also move it over to this side. Not that I want to do that, but let's say I want it over on this side, and then I can change this to left orientation. So that's how you can kind of shift things around on Squarespace. Let's say we want to add a new image. You can delete this. So Squarespace has an awesome integration with Unsplash. So you can either upload your own content just by clicking this and uploading an image, or you can search for an image, and these are all copyright 0. So let's say I want to do, and there's plenty of mountain pictures here, but just to show you, let's say I want to select a mountain picture, add to site, and then something with imagery, always make sure, again, cohesive branding. It's coming back to those feelings. So look at the content you're including and make sure that you're adding an image. If you are a therapy practice, that it's also welcoming, has like calming tones, and also has hues of the colors you're using throughout your website. So that's how you can add content. But then if you want it, like, you can add an image anywhere by just clicking that and searching for an image or uploading one here. And then adding those spacers. One call out with spacers, just make sure that you see where this is like highlighted. That's where the spacer is going to drop. So I don't want to apply this spacer to the whole entire web section. I want to apply it just to this image. So make sure to drag it until it's just over that image. And now the spacer is just impacting that image. So that is a very brief overview of content, but that is how you add content, move things around on your site. And yeah, so here's like the text, for example, and then you just pick which heading you want. So that's how you can kind of organize, again, if this is heading 3, or I wouldn't change it to heading 1, but just so you can see, you can change it. And then one thing to call out are these buttons. So like I said, these are just right here. But these buttons are really important because another really critical thing as you're building your website is to think through the user journey. So they come here, and again, this is an example of not good landing, because I don't really know what MOKSHA Wellness does. So I would more so use this section and reorient it to have MOKSHA Wellness, and then have like something about yoga retreats or something about the experience that kind of sells people and shows them you understand their pain point and you solve it. But anyway, so you want to have, you think about it as they land, and then where do you want them to go next? So think about the user experience and use these buttons as calls to action to then implement that like guide to the next section. So one thing I see a lot of people make the mistake of is they will have all this information and then they won't have like a learn more button. So people are confused on where to go next. Take the guessing out of it. Don't make them confused. Show them how to find more information and get to that next step really quickly and really easily. So next, I want to quickly show you, we're packing in a lot today. I want to quickly show you how to add like custom assets. So you have this template, but you can also customize it using Canva. So if you don't have an account, it's free, super easy to make one. And you can design a lot of fun graphics. So I'm going to go in and hit create a graphic, and I'm going to choose custom dimensions, and I'm just going to do 400 by 600, and then create a new design. And then we're just going to do a quick headshot. So if you have like an about me section, this is just, you can use this for any image you put on your site and add more flavor to it by using Canva. But I'll just show you today my spicing up a headshot. So let's use this headshot here, and then choose, again, elements that are related to your brand. So for mine, kind of like these floral images and things like that are great elements that are soft and welcoming within my like brand. And then you can go in and change to photo colors, which this is awesome for like quickly kind of having on hue colors, but then you can also type in your hex colors if you have a specific subset that you have already prepared for your brand. So I can go in and add these cute little elements and move this around. And then obviously, like depending on your brand, like if I was like a more masculine brand, I would include different elements. I even just saw like Madden 21 has like fun blocky elements around it that are like sketch lines and things like that. So you can include a lot of different elements. Like you would go here and type in like flowers or whatever content, not with 2 R's, that's related to your business. So yeah, but anyway, there's a lot of elements that you can find within here that can be fun just to add as backgrounds, or even if you just want to do like a little bit more of just a highlight around it, where you go position backward, and then yeah, you could add like some texture that way. But for my brand, I'll keep it with these. And then so what you do from there is you just go download, and you want to make sure it's PNG because you don't want that white background on there, especially if you're going to have a different color background. So just download this. Okay, so it's right down there. And so I want to go back over to Squarespace and then click edit. And let's say, like for me, I wanted this section to be about instead of services. So you can just delete all these content blocks if you don't want them. And then I'm going to place this spacer over here and move this text box over here, and then delete it because it's now positioned that way. And then I'm going to do edit image, delete this, and I literally just drag it in. And then now I have a fun graphic that's a little bit more unique, and I can slide this over to change the size of it and add more text here. Let's put this learn more button underneath this text and see, we just change it to about. And then obviously play with that spacing. I would make this, put the spacer here. But anyway, I won't go too much into like design and spacing, although it's killing me that this isn't big enough. So let's say like that. Cool, so now you see how you can use Canva to pair it, and you can make incredible, like awesome banners as backgrounds within Canva. Like I'll just show you really quick. I made a background to remove this image. So let's say you create like a custom background like this that you want. And always, I note this on the launch process, but always make sure to keep your images that you're uploading less than 2,000 pixels on the large end. But so now you can see I can upload a banner like that. So you could create a custom banner within Canva that has really cool elements like this and upload it to really create a custom look for your site that's not just template and by the book. So if you have any questions about this, please email me. I'm happy to answer and give you any tips, tricks, things like that. But let's go back over into the slides now and we can wrap up. Okay. Cool. So last thing I want to cover really quickly is launching your site. So here's kind of a checklist. This is just a general checklist I would run through to make sure all the things are covered, all the bases are covered, with checking all the links, making sure your images are optimized, connecting to Google Search Console, adding in marketing stuff within Squarespace tab. And so these are the major things I would run through before you launch your site. But I will also, again, be on with Q&A. If you have specific questions about this launch checklist, please let me know. So thanks for joining me today. If you have any questions on content we covered, reach out to me at Sydney@OliveWing Designs, or follow along at OliveWing Designs on Instagram. I'm pretty active over there, so I would be happy to connect there. We do have a free webinar series that I am putting on that starts September 28th with experts in all legal, PR, copywriting, a lot of things. If you're just getting started for your business, it would be a great webinar series to attend. So shoot me an email with those details, and I will pick a winner for the Squarespace course in the chat. And again, answering any questions. If you have any, let me know. And if I can't get to them during this session, feel free to DM me, shoot me an email. I am here to help with your design process. And lastly, just wanted to cover this. So at Denver Startup Week, we strive to make all of our sessions a space where attendees can connect, learn, grow, regardless of gender identity, gender expression, race, ability, sexual orientation, a combination of those identities. So as you leave today and throughout the week, introduce yourself to someone who doesn't look like you or may identify differently than you. So thank you guys so much for attending. Again, I am here to help, so let me know if you have any questions or confused about anything, and have a great rest of DSW.